When I returned to my in-laws' house in the distant countryside, my mother-in-law came to pick me up at the station in her car. After my husband got into the passenger seat, I tried to get into the back seat, but the car was locked. It seems like the car is locked, Mom," I said, addressing her through the car window, and then my mother-in-law and husband exchanged glances and chuckled. With a mischievous smile, my mother-in-law then informed me, "I'm not going to let a useless woman who can't even fulfill her duties as a daughter-in-law into my car." "Huh?" "I never liked you from the beginning. You act all high and mighty as a career woman, but don't do a thing for Ryan." I tried to open the car door, but it remained locked till the end. From the passenger seat, my husband smirked and said,
"You should learn from this and reflect on yourself a bit. Walk 3 hours back home."
I reached my breaking point at that moment. What's up with this mother and son duo? I'm not going to listen to them anymore. I don't care anymore. "Got it," I said it with a strained voice, and my mother-in-law and husband burst into laughter, closed the window, and drove off. An hour later, my husband found himself in a tough spot with me. My name is Kelly Sampson. I'm a 31-year-old working wife. I'm fluent in Spanish and work for a multinational company. Work has been busy but fulfilling, and I've spent my 20s completely devoted to my career. However, before I knew it, my 30s were just around the corner. With no boyfriend in sight, I couldn't help feeling a bit anxious. Yet, the idea of registering with a marriage consultation agency felt daunting. It became a routine for me to unwind at my favorite bar after work and ponder various things. It was during one of those moments that the bar's master approached me and said this.
"What's wrong, Kelly? You look down."
"Oh, I've been thinking about marriage lately, but I don't have anyone."
"Oh, I see. It might be strange for a bartender to say this to a customer, but if there's no one else, how about me?"
"Huh?" The bartender of that bar turned out to be Ryan Sloan, who would later become my husband. Ryan was 5 years older than me and had been managing the bar for 2 years. While initially our relationship was just that of bartender and customer, as we went on several dates, I found myself drawn to Ryan. If he could listen to my work troubles, surely he would understand my job as well, I thought, feeling reassured. Indeed, Ryan often showed concern for my busy schedule. About a year into dating, he proposed to me, and I happily accepted. My parents also approved of our marriage, and I ended up visiting Ryan's family. Later, my parents also gave their approval for our marriage, so we ended up visiting Ryan's family. His family home was in the countryside. I was surprised to learn that it would take a 3-hour walk to reach the nearest train station. We rented a car in Ryan's hometown and headed to his family's house. Ryan's father had passed away early, and his mother lived alone in their apartment. Feeling nervous, I greeted to Ryan's mother, Michelle, upon meeting her. "Nice to meet you. I'm Kelly Sampson. I've been dating Ryan." At that moment, my mother-in-law looked me up and down, then said to Ryan, "Ryan, are you really planning to marry someone like her? I thought you'd bring someone cuter. She looks so plain." I was taken aback by her words. "And if you become his wife, can you really support Ryan, who's busy with managing everything? You'll quit your job, won't you?" I hurriedly explained that I work for a multinational corporation and have no intention of quitting my job. "Is that something worthy of being called a daughter-in-law? You work for some multinational company or whatever, but you're still inexperienced. Ryan, don't stick with a woman like her." I looked to Ryan as if seeking help, but he responded with,
"Come on, Mom. Kelly earns well, and there's no harm in letting her continue her job."
"She earns well, does she? Well, I guess that's all right then." Ryan's words had caused my mother-in-law's demeanor to harden, but I was feeling conflicted. "If you're getting married, don't slack off on your duties as a wife." In the end, I was granted permission for the marriage, but being told such things left me feeling uneasy. However, our home and my in-laws' house were 4 hours apart. Despite thinking we would live without much interaction with that formidable mother-in-law, I decided to marry Ryan. Afterward, we rented a 3-bedroom apartment near Ryan's shop, and we began our married life. However, Ryan didn't help with any household chores. He would return home later after I had already fallen asleep and sleep until late afternoon. I asked Ryan to help with the housework between waking up and going to work, but he didn't do anything. Hey, Ryan, you haven't done any housework again today. Considering you lived alone before, you should be able to handle some household chores, right?
You're so annoying. You're married now, so isn't housework the wife's job? Even Mom says so. Don't slack off on your duties as a wife.
Even if you say that, you understand that I have a demanding job, right?
What, you think you're so cool working for a multinational company? Just because of that, you can't push me around.
Ryan's remarks made me feel like he was trying to assert dominance based on my higher education and social status. Where did the understanding Ryan, who showed support for my job before marriage, disappear to? With a heavy heart, I had no choice but to do all the housework. About 3 months into our marriage, when I returned home, I was shocked. To my surprise, my mother-in-law had visited our home without any prior notice. Mother, what brings you here?
Oh, didn't Ryan tell you? I'll be staying here for the next 3 months to see if you're fulfilling your duties as a wife properly.
What? Ryan, what does this mean? I looked at Ryan, but he seemed to be feigning innocence. From that day on, the 3-month cohabitation with my mother-in-law began. It was nothing short of hell. Every morning, I was the only one woken up early, and I had to do household chores under my mother-in-law's watchful eye.
Hey, is tonight's dinner fish? Don't treat me like an old lady.
Every day when I cooked and served dinner, my mother-in-law would make sarcastic remarks. There were times when she would even throw away what I had painstakingly prepared. On days when I had to work late, she would stand by the front door waiting for us.
What's the matter with you taking so long as a daughter-in-law? Let me tell you, being a daughter-in-law means...
This is how I end up being forced to sitting cross-legged on the floor and endure long lectures. Despite treating me like a slave, my mother-in-law still demands money from me.
Hey, Kelly, I've been wanting to go see a live performance, you know. Give me money for the tickets.
Well, even if you ask me suddenly like that...
I came all the way to the city and you'd want me to enjoy myself, don't you think? You're such a stingy daughter-in-law.
Then Ryan also says things like,
Come on, it's not a big deal, just give it to her.
Reluctantly, I handed over the money and my mother-in-law snatched it away as if grabbing it forcibly. Over time, the money taken by my mother-in-law amounted to over $2,000 in 3 months. Of course, all living expenses were on our shoulders. My mother-in-law would only ask for money when it suited her, and she would casually make a mess in the room and spend her time as she pleased. Unable to bear with such treatment from my mother-in-law any longer, one day I decided to talk to Ryan about it. Hey, Ryan, your mom is being too much. If you're also my husband, do something about it. Ryan's eyebrows furrowed in response.
What did you say? Are you planning to badmouth my mother?
Huh? No, that's not it.
You probably look down on me and Mom just because you make a little more money, don't you? I see right through you.
What are you saying? As I expressed genuine confusion, Ryan responded.
Anyway, Mom hasn't done anything wrong. She's just disciplining a bad wife like you. If you keep speaking ill of Mom, I have my own idea.
Idea? At that moment, Ryan pulled out a pre-filled divorce form from his bag and slammed it in front of me. Ryan, is this...
If you don't listen to me, I'm fine with getting a divorce. Just so you know, women as unattractive as you won't be desired by anyone if you leave me.
With a dismissive snort, Ryan left the room. I silently looked down at the divorce papers. After the promised 3 months passed, my mother-in-law left. But our relationship remained strained. He still didn't help with household chores and constantly made snide remarks. I grew tired and stopped initiating conversations with Ryan. Eventually, the seasons changed, and it was year-end.
Hey, this New Year's, we're going to my parents' place. Got it?
Ryan just announced it without consulting me. But since I'm married, I have no choice but to comply. Reluctantly, I nodded. On the day we were supposed to visit his parents' house, we traveled by train, and my mother-in-law was supposed to pick us up from the station. When we arrived at the station, her small car was already waiting. Ryan got in like it was nothing, so I tried to open the back door. No matter how hard I pulled, it was locked and wouldn't budge. Mom, it seems to be locked." I called out to them through the car window, and my mother-in-law and Ryan exchanged glances and laughed. With a smirk, my mother-in-law informed me.
I'm not going to let a useless woman who can't even fulfill her duties as a daughter-in-law into my car.
Huh?
I never liked you from the start. You pretend to be a career woman, but don't serve Ryan at all.
Just open the door, please. I tried to open the car door, but it remained locked till the end. From the passenger seat, my husband smirked and said,
You should learn from this and reflect on yourself a bit. Walk 3 hours back home.
At that moment, I reached my limit. What's wrong with this family? I won't listen to them anymore. I don't care anymore. Got it! With a strained voice, I said that, and my mother-in-law and husband burst into laughter, closed the window, and drove away. I just silently watched their car go. Well, time to go home. Instead of heading to my in-laws, I turned back and headed to the station. I couldn't bear the thought of going to my in-laws anymore. They'll probably be furious, but I don't care anymore. Spotting a train ticket, I immediately boarded. It had been about an hour since my husband and I parted ways. Then my phone rang. Caller was my husband. I ignored it and put my phone in my coat pocket. But the calls kept coming incessantly. He's relentless. Fed up with it all, I stepped out onto the deck to take the call. Hello?
Finally you answered. Where are you?
In a flustered voice, my husband asked, and I calmly responded. Why do you keep calling so many times? What do you want?
After that, we were going to drive back, and I told my mom we'd go sightseeing. But then, we got into an accident.
Huh? An accident?
We got injured too, and dealing with the other party is a hassle. They're foreigners. They're furious and can't understand what we're saying. Aren't you good at Spanish? Can't you intervene?
Oh, really?
Are you even listening? They're driving a really expensive car and berating us in Spanish, and we're in trouble. Hurry up and come. Where are you walking right now?
I'm not walking.
Huh?
I'm on the train now. Seems like we're entering a tunnel. Might lose signal.
Huh? Are you kidding me? Are you really going home?
Entering a tunnel was a lie, but I hung up the phone. And then I smirked. I went home, packed my bags, and immediately moved to a week-to-week rental. After settling in, I headed to a certain place. It was the first day back to work after the New Year's holiday. After finishing work and stepping outside the company, my mother-in-law leaning on crutches and my husband with his neck in a cast were waiting for me. Hey, what's going on? My mother-in-law and husband turned red, probably because of my displeased expression.
The house is empty. You're not answering the phone. What are you doing? Stop messing around.
I didn't want to cause a scene near the office, so I took them to a nearby cafe.
Just because you got left at the station, you think it's okay to leave like that? Are you still a wife?
My mother-in-law chimed in, trying to provoke me. Ignoring her, I ordered coffee, which seemed to annoy Ryan even more.
You didn't come, so we had a hard time afterward. The police came and we ended up dealing with the other party directly. They're foreigners, you know?
Oh, really?
I'll let your attitude slide. So talk to the other party right away. Look, they're calling again.
Saying that, Ryan shoved the phone at me. I reluctantly answered and talked to the other party. After asking a few questions, I hung up.
What did they say?
I casually replied to Ryan's question. They were really angry. They said your mom ran a red light and crashed into their car. The other party is a famous celebrity overseas and wants compensation for medical expenses and the cost of their totaled car. The car's value is over $300,000.
What?
My husband and mother-in-law froze in shock. Well, you should leave it to the insurance company, right? Saying this casually, my mother-in-law looked embarrassed.
The insurance. We didn't have coverage because the premiums were too expensive.
Oh dear. I chuckled, which enraged Ryan.
What's with that attitude since earlier? Are you still my wife? Sort it out with them right now, so we don't have to pay so much. Even if it goes to court, you should be the interpreter.
Seemingly emboldened, my mother-in-law chimed in.
That's right. Since you're rich, this is the least you can do. Fulfill your duties as a wife.
But I'm not your wife anymore, am I?
Huh?
I explained calmly. After returning home and completing the moving procedures, I immediately went to submit the divorce papers. I had kept the divorce papers that you had previously filled out as a threat, so I retrieved them.
You! What a selfish thing!
Exactly! How dare you!
Although Ryan and his mother scolded me, I decisively cut them off. You two are no longer my family. You're strangers to me. Now you can pay up to $300,000 or whatever it takes to suffer, you jerks. And then, leaving the two of them in turmoil, I left. It seems their injuries were safely treated afterward. Originally, the injuries weren't that severe, but my mother-in-law's car was totaled, and they apparently faced a hefty claim from the overseas celebrity they had the accident with. Initially, Ryan's business wasn't doing that well, and his income alone couldn't sustain their lifestyle. There was no way that Ryan, with such an income, and my mother-in-law, who was unemployed and living in an apartment, would be able to come up with the money. So they ended up borrowing it. Now Ryan has returned to his parents' house, and the two of them are living in a small, run-down apartment while working like slaves to repay their debts. Even hearing that, I feel no sympathy. Rather, I'm living my life to the fullest. On the other hand, after my divorce, I lived alone for a few years and focused on my work. Thanks to the decrease in stress, I was able to achieve results at work and even got promoted. A faithful man I recently met through work has asked me to be in a relationship with marriage in mind. I intend to accept it. From now on, I want to pursue true happiness while valuing myself.